So I was hoping to shoot outside a little bit today, but it is just a tad bit chilly. So it looks like we're going to have to come up with something here inside. So many of y'all probably know us from our adventures camping in our little teardrop camper. But several years before that, we had started backpacking and still enjoy that every once in a while whenever we get an opportunity to go out. So I figured since the weather's kind of nasty out today, I'd take this opportunity to kind of show you what we've learned over the years as far as our sleep system and what we use when we're out on the trail. It's kind of a given that sleeping is very important when you're backpacking. You want to get the rest so that the following day you can get up and be refreshed to go out hiking. So you want whatever you're carrying to give you that good night's sleep. However, you still want light enough to where you're not hauling around a lot of weight the next day on the trail. So kind of the first route we went when we started backpacking were these self-inflating pads. We actually had some Field & Stream ones from Dick's that we started out with. Problem with those, they were only 20 inches wide. And for me, that was just wide enough that my shoulders would fall off the edges at night. So that proved to be very uncomfortable. We then upgraded to these Therm-a-Rest base camp pads, and they serve the purpose. We used those actually for quite a while. The problem being, this is how small, you want to say, they pack down to. So typically they wouldn't fit into a pack. You would have to strap them to the outside of the pack. And they weigh about 3 pounds, if not a little bit more even. So we quickly decided that, well, I wouldn't say quickly. We actually, like I said, used these for quite a while. But as time went on, we decided we needed something a little bit lighter. And these are 2-inch pads, so they're okay for comfort, but there's better out there. So we want to upgrade in that respect as well. So what we end up going to is the Therm-a-Rest Neo Air X-Lite. The advantages: this is a 2.5-inch pad, so it offers a little bit more cushion. It packs down to this compared to this, and it weighs in at 1 pound compared to the 3 of the base camp. Drawbacks of this one, it's minimal. One, kind of sounds like you're sleeping on cellophane, but you tend to get used to that, and that noise mellows out a little bit as time goes on. The other thing is it's not a self-inflating pad like the base camp is, so you basically have to blow this up. There are bag pumps that you can get, which we actually use as well, to where it's really not that big of an issue. I still greatly enjoy sleeping on this and carrying this much better than the base camp. Basically, the only reason we keep the base camp around, if somebody needs one and wants to borrow it, we'll loan it out sometimes. And the base camp does have a higher R value than the X-Lite, so if it's colder out, it does do a better job of insulating from the ground than what the X-Lite will. So like our sleeping pads, we kind of went through an evolution on our sleeping bags as well. When we started, we had these, and I don't even know the brand, I don't know where we got them. All I know is that they were cheap. But that being said, these bags have been with us for quite a while, and we still use them on occasion. I think they were 40-degree bags. They're not extremely heavy. They don't pack down real small, but they do the job. And that just goes to show that you don't need to spend a lot of money on equipment, especially starting out. You can find something relatively low cost that will serve the purpose just fine. That being said, after we hiked with these for a little while, especially since we were backpacking in the summer a lot when it was warmer and we really didn't need this much warmth, we decided to look for something that was a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit lighter. And what we came across was this bag here, which is a Eureka Hoback, I think is how it's pronounced. It's Hoback, and for what it is, this bag is wonderful. It's a 60-degree bag. We've had it down to 60 degrees before, and you're about to freeze at that point. So it's definitely not something you want to use in colder weather, but when it's hot outside and it's hot at night, this thing packs down to about the size of a softball. It's very thin, and it serves the purpose great for those warm nights. And we definitely, if it's hot outside, we're still using these. Now, that being said, when it gets colder, we have to start looking at other alternatives, and that's, we both, in the last couple of years, have upgraded in that regard, and I will show you what we use for that now. So when we started looking for colder weather sleeping bags that were also light, then you start looking into down bags. You almost can't get away from that. The one that I decided to go with is the Nemo Nocturne 30. This bag for me is wonderful. I don't like a typical mummy sleeping bag. I don't like the feeling of being trapped inside this bag and not really being able to move. So with this bag, it has more of their, I think they call it a spoon shape. It's kind of an hourglass. Around your knees, it's wider. It's a little bit wider around the shoulders and the arms. So you have plenty of room to move around. You can roll over. It just makes it a very comfortable bag to sleep in. Like I said, it's a 30-degree bag. I've had it down to low 20s at night and have been fine with a little bit of extra clothes on. It has this little flap on it, which is wonderful as well because you can pull that down and kind of tuck yourself in. It weighs in at 34 ounces and packs down pretty small, so it's really not a nuisance at all as far as carrying it on the trail. Now, with as much room as I have in this one, Tammy decided to take that just a step further when she was looking for something. And she decided not to go with a traditional sleeping bag at all. Instead, she went with an Enlightened Equipment Revolution quilt, which is a 30-degree quilt, and it is exactly that. It's a quilt, but it also has a zipper around the bottom and a drawstring to where you can actually make a foot box out of it, more like a traditional sleeping bag. And she made sure she got the extra wide and long, so on a cold night, she can tuck it up over her face a little bit, and is wide enough that she can tuck it around both sides of her, and she really enjoys this quilt. Now, once she got this quilt, I have to admit there was a part of me that was kind of wishing that I had something similar as well. Now, so I love my Nemo bag. However, for those middle of the road temperatures, when it's not quite hot enough, or excuse me, when it's not quite cold enough to need the Nemo, I decided to make my own quilt. So at Costco, they have these ultralight quilts. They're down quilts. The problem with those quilts is they're not quite wide enough, and there's not quite enough down in them to insulate them as well as I was wanting. So basically, I took two of the quilts, cut a piece of one of them off, sewed them together, cut some of the baffles out, put extra down in it, and then put a drawstring around so the foot box is similar to Tammy's quilt. All that being said, I think I have less than $50 wrapped up in this, and made for a quilt that's good for down to, I'd probably trust it down to 40 degrees. So I've been rather pleased with my creation there. However, in the process, I did not realize how much down I would have all over the house in the process of trying to make this. We were picking up feathers for quite some time after that. Tammy wasn't real happy with me on that one. But anyhow, all of these packed down, I said packed down very small, and I said this comes in at right at 20 ounces, I do believe, so very light. So that pretty much covers our sleeping bag and sleeping pad setups. Probably about the only thing that we have left are our pillows. So if there's one place that you'll find quite a bit of disagreement on the trail, it comes to whether or not you should take a pillow with you when you're backpacking. And when we started out, we came to the conclusion that it wasn't worth the wait. We do like a lot of the other hikers do, and just fill a stuff sack up with clothes, use it for a pillow. Problems being are, A, I don't want my dirty socks next to my face as I'm sleeping at night. Secondly, it's always lumpy, it's never the right size, it just does not make for a good night's sleep. So we ended up going out and getting these Sea to Summit pillows. They're the Aeros pillow, and they're wonderful. To the point, I like this pillow so much, I take it with me when I'm going to stay at a hotel because I like this pillow more than I like hotel pillows. So it's just, they weigh 4 ounces. To me, they're worth every bit of carrying that weight. They pack down to that size, so they aren't taking up any space in your pack really. They're just, it's one thing that I guess it's a luxury item you may say, but it's wonderful as far as being out on the trail and helping get a good night's sleep at night. So anyhow, with all that being said, I'm going to leave links down below to any of this equipment that I can get links to. That way, if you want to research it any further, those will be there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider giving it a like if you did. Please comment below too if there's anything you agree with, disagree with, something that you've used that maybe we haven't tried. I'd love to hear from you. And other than that, I will see you in the next video. So, since we can't go outside today, we're going to stay here and look at backpacking sleep systems. Now, seriously though, one of these days I am going to give a proper intro to this channel.